Camilla's son attacks William during royal event, and his silence speaks everything. The fog outside Claridge's that evening wasn't just the London kind. It felt heavier, like the air itself was holding its breath. Inside the grand ballroom, however, everything was polished to perfection. Crystal chandeliers bathed the elite in golden light, and champagne glasses sparkled in the hands of the city's finest. But under all that glitter, something bitter brewed. This wasn't just a book launch. Tom Parker Bowles, Queen Camilla's son, was stepping into the spotlight for more than his latest culinary musings. To the public, he was still the food critic with a charming smile, but those who understood the game knew what this event really was, a carefully orchestrated stage for something bigger. Camilla had extended the invitations herself. She made sure Princess Anne was there, not out of courtesy, but calculation. Camilla wanted Tom to be seen as part of the royal bloodline, not just hovering near it. She wanted his name spoken in the same breath as William's, maybe even whispered in rooms where royal power was reshaped. And Tom? He knew exactly what he was doing. Decked out in a custom suit, standing beneath a spotlight, his eyes scanned the room like a man who had already decided who mattered and who didn't. When he stepped up to the podium, silence fell, not out of respect, but suspense. Then came the line. "Prince William," Tom said, voice steady but sharp, "has treated my mother as though she were invisible, as if she were never a queen at all." The words dropped like daggers. It was deliberate, calculated, and it hit the crown right in its chest. Gasps echoed, camera flashes fired like lightning, and reporters nearly tripped over themselves to write it all down. The royal bubble had just been pierced, in public, on record, and with brutal clarity. But in that moment, all eyes weren't on Tom, they were on Princess Anne. Seated in an emerald silk gown, her posture didn't move an inch, her face didn't flinch, but her eyes, cold, focused, dangerous. She wasn't there for hors d'oeuvres or polite small talk, she was there as a protector of the monarchy, and Tom, in her eyes, had just declared himself a threat. Anne's aide leaned in, voice low, "Your Highness." How do you judge his words? Anne didn't even blink. Her reply was like ice breaking. "The son of a dangerous mother." That line wasn't just shade, it was a warning, a signal. Anne had been silent for years, watching, holding her ground. But now she knew the game had changed. Camilla wasn't just defending her son, she was positioning him, quietly, strategically, right into the center of royal influence. And Anne wasn't going to let that happen. By morning, the newspapers exploded. Headlines screamed about royal rifts. Social media buzzed with theories. Was Tom's comment an emotional slip or the first shot of a quiet coup? At Kensington Palace, Prince William sat alone in his study, eyes locked on a headline that read, "Camilla's son fires at William." His face didn't twist, he didn't rage, but his knuckles turned white as he folded the paper. Who did Tom think he was? William knew it wasn't just about words, it was about power. Camilla and Tom weren't playing by the old rules, they were carving a new path into royal authority, and William had to stop them before it went any further. No press release, no public statement, just a single command to his closest advisor. Dig into everything, every contract, every meeting, every move he's made. It was quiet, deadly, and it marked the beginning of a silent war inside the palace. A war not of swords or speeches, but of strategy, secrecy, and survival. Sandringham House stood like an old sentinel beneath a sky draped in fog. Inside its stone walls, away from press and protocol, Princess Anne and Prince William faced each other in a quiet room lit only by the flicker of a fireplace. The air between them was thick, not with emotion, but with strategy. Anne leaned forward slightly in her seat, hands clasped, voice cold and unwavering. "Camilla has been weaving this for years," she said. "Tom isn't just climbing the social ladder, he's climbing the royal one." William listened, jaw tight, eyes narrowed. Anne's words didn't surprise him, but hearing them aloud brought everything into focus. He had always known Camilla was sharp, but this was a chess match. One where she was already several moves ahead, and his father, weakened by illness and devotion, wasn't going to stop her. "Tom's already securing influence in Cornwall," Anne continued, "is positioning himself to oversee properties that have belonged to our family for generations, not by birthright, but by maneuvering. That cannot stand." William didn't argue. He didn't need to. His silence was its own kind of agreement. Back in London, the operation began. William's team worked fast and quietly. No public firings, no declarations, just quiet reshuffling. Advisors with too many dinners in Camilla's circle were suddenly reassigned. Lawyers once tied to Tom's business meetings found their contracts suspended. Royal estate administrators were rotated out, replaced by names William had handpicked. On paper, it looked like routine management. In reality, it was a full-blown purge. But the most significant blow came not from William, but from numbers. An audit of the royal estate accounts had long been overdue. William used it as cover to launch a financial investigation, packaging it for the public as fiscal responsibility. In truth, it was a surgical strike. The findings were brutal. Annabel Elliot, Camilla's sister, had been living in a luxurious Gloucestershire estate, rent-free for over a decade. Worse, she had drawn a royal salary under the title of Chief Interior Designer, but her projects? Outsourced. Her work? A facade. Millions had slipped through the cracks. William didn't hesitate. He signed the order personally. Annabelle's contract terminated, her residence to be vacated immediately. No press conference. No room for appeal. At her estate, Annabelle stood frozen, the letter trembling in her hand. Persian carpets beneath her, family paintings on the walls, none of it mattered. She called Camilla in a panic. "They've thrown me out," she whispered. "William gave me no warning." Camilla, seated in her quiet drawing room, held the phone to her ear. Her grip trembled. She said nothing, because what could she say? Her influence, once subtle and far-reaching, was collapsing. The doors that had once opened with her name now remained shut. The allies she trusted had vanished. Anne's invisible hand had already done its work, turning whispers into decisions. Desperate, Camilla turned to Charles. She found him in his study, hunched beneath portraits of monarchs past, his body weakened by time and illness. "Charles," she began softly, "you must talk to him." Annabelle was loyal. She served this family. But Charles didn't look at her. "Let William manage it," he said, tiredly. "I'm too tired for more battles." Camilla's heart sank. She had no more pieces left to play. Outside the palace, Tom's world was unraveling. Partnerships tied to royal properties were severed, investors pulled out, tabloids feasted on rumors of financial misconduct, tracing every connection back to him. His once glittering name dimmed. The crown had made its move, and it was brutal. Windsor Castle shimmered under the glow of chandeliers as a formal gala brought together Britain's most powerful. Behind the music and laughter, the evening served a deeper purpose. Confirmation that power had shifted. Prince William, host of the night, moved through the crowd with effortless control. His words were warm, his smile constant, but his eyes scanned with quiet calculation. Camilla arrived late. She wore a stunning emerald gown, flawless as ever, but her grip on her champagne glass betrayed the unease beneath the surface. She no longer owned the room. Every glance felt heavier, every greeting thinner. Her allies had grown quiet, their distance more noticeable than their presence. Across the hall, Princess Anne watched. Dressed in sharp black, she moved with purpose, calm and unreadable. When she approached Camilla, it was without warning. The music softened around them, but the weight of the exchange sliced through the noise. "Did you truly believe," Anne said flatly, "that you could twist the monarchy to serve your ends?" Camilla tried to hold her composure, but her voice faltered. "I only ever wanted what was best for this family." Anne didn't blink. "Family," she repeated, her voice like steel. "You and your son are not of this blood. Do not confuse ambition with honor." The words didn't echo, but they didn't need to. Camilla stood silent, shattered behind her still smile. The mask cracked. The plan had failed, and Anne had just closed the door on any chance of recovery. A few feet away, William continued his rounds, unaffected on the surface, but fully aware of the moment unfolding behind him. The pieces had moved, the threats neutralized, and now the monarchy stood restored, not by public decree, but by quiet, merciless precision. Weeks passed, and the signs were everywhere. Annabelle Elliott's estate sat empty, its windows dark, the family crest removed from the iron gates. Tom Parker Bowles, once the golden boy of culinary circles, was absent from television and quietly removed from royal estate projects. Investors stopped returning his calls. Events that once bore his name now featured others. His fall wasn't loud, but it was permanent. Camilla retreated from public life. Official statements cited health reasons. No one bought it. Her absence became its own headline. Where once she commanded attention at charity events and receptions, now her name drew questions, not applause. Rumors of a quiet exile filled tabloids. The monarchy had not removed her with force. It had simply stepped around her, and in doing so rendered her invisible. Inside the palace, William grew into his role with a new authority. Staff changes became policy, and outdated practices were reformed. He didn't chase cameras or headlines. He didn't need to. The silence said everything. Anne, now more active than ever, resumed her public duties with unwavering poise. She had played her role in defense of legacy and done so without spectacle. Her loyalty wasn't loud, it was surgical, and it had worked. One cold evening, William stood beside Anne on a high balcony at Buckingham Palace. Below them, the city moved like a glowing sea. Neither spoke for a long time. Anne broke the silence, her voice steady. "Only blood belongs to the monarchy." William nodded, his hands resting on the railing, eyes focused on the horizon. His smile was faint but firm. The threat had passed. The crown endured, not by inheritance alone, but by the quiet resolve of those willing to protect it. Camilla had played her final card and lost.